Good morning, Facebook and YouTube. We are coming at you on all channels. Great to see you this morning. This is Susie Vine. I am the host of the Thriving Life Summit, and I am very excited to get to introduce you to yet another one of my featured experts that will be joining me the week of November 30th. Anne Gordon is a whale and dolphin wisdom guide, coach, healer. She is the leader of transformational retreats around the world, giving people the opportunity to go be present with these extraordinary animals. And in recent times, she has discovered how to take all of that and bring it to you in the comfort of your own homes in this virtual space. So I was really excited to have Anne join me as one of my guests so we could reap the benefit of her insights and learn a little bit more about her life story, which is absolutely fascinating. And Anne, I want to thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time today to come live and just chat for a few.
Thanks for having me. It's always fun to play with you, Susie.
We are some fellow Southern California girls at the moment, although we've traveled some different paths and fans of the Northwest as well. So we definitely love to keep to the seaside as much as possible. And I think that connection to nature, to animals, is one of the things that helps us personally feel like we are thriving. I'd love to hear from you. What are some of your secrets or keys, especially after everything we've been through in the last year and a half, the ways in which life has changed? What are some of the ways that you support yourself so you keep feeling energized, balanced, and thriving as much as possible?
Yeah, it's been the last year has been 2 years have been quite crazy, quite intense for many of us. And I think when I first started opening my connection with the dolphins and the whales, and that's not just the physical beings, but the spiritual aspects as well, and in meditation and so on, that I discovered that everybody who wants one has a dolphin spirit guide, which is super cool. And they became this constant presence in my life, so that no matter what was going on in my life, that I never felt alone. That I always felt like I had this presence, and whatever your belief system is, whatever it is, whether that's the presence of God or Jesus or Buddha or whoever, there is that whole other dimension to our world, more than what we can see with our physical eyes, right? And so for me, and that really at bottom boils down to connecting deeply with yourself, believing in yourself, and truly loving yourself, and having yourself be your own best company.
Mm-hmm.
And so that provides this really strong foundation of strength, where it's literally, yes, I can get sad, yes, I can be upset, but I don't go past that point of kind of no return into depression with having that strong foundation.
I think that's really, really powerful and insightful, because a lot of times it feels easier to look outside of ourselves, to
Right.
shore ourselves up with accomplishments or accolades, getting that positive feedback and letting that kind of bolster our confidence.
Right.
And that's the facade that just doesn't hold up under the pressure,
Right.
like you say, that we've been under it. I know I was putting off for a long time saying it's been 2 years, but it really has been. It's been
Yeah.
a journey. And I feel like people have been waiting to get back to normal instead of taking the opportunity to define a new normal, to decide what they want to move forward in. So I think this is a perfect time to take another look. And just like you're saying, what is that foundation, that sense of connection? Is that something that we feel is missing? And where, I don't want to say where can we find it, because that sounds like, again, we're looking outside of ourselves, but how do we come back to that? And the power of looking to the guides that are all around us, that have wisdom that is eons old. I mean, such a rich opportunity to connect with and to learn from. And I loved our opportunity in our conversation, which people will get to enjoy during the week of the summit, about the different characters, personalities, the lessons that we can get from the different whales and from the dolphins. And I don't think it would be giving too much away, but I love this. This was really an eye opener for me. And since you already mentioned our dolphin spirit guides, what are some of the lessons that we can take, for example, just from this creature in and of itself, just from the dolphins? What can we learn, especially you and I being entrepreneurs, and the ways in which we move through that space?
Yeah, I think and that related to what I was talking about earlier is that the dolphins have taught me that happiness is a fleeting state. It comes and it goes. We can, be happy and laughing with friends or see something funny and we're happy for a moment. And then we can go right back to serious or sad or frustrated or, any other emotion. But what they also taught me is that joy is a permanent state. And that you can, two things about that. One, that you can feel joy, deep, deep joy, at the same time as you're feeling sadness. Like you can experience the fleeting state of sadness or even grieving, yet feel that deep joy inside, which I know sounds really strange to a lot of you. But I personally have experienced it while I was grieving the loss of my beloved mother-in-law, who passed away suddenly while I was leading a retreat to take a group of people to swim with wild dolphins. And I remember being in the water on the day of her funeral and, just feeling the emotions of that. And that's the other thing the dolphins have taught me, is that when the emotions come up, don't avoid them, don't push them aside, don't resist them, to just dive into them. Just, okay, welcome them, feel them, and then they pass very quickly when you do it that way. When we avoid and resist, that's when it becomes this long-term depression or even a physical manifestation in the form of disease. And so I was in the water. All of my participants were in the water, and there was like 40 dolphins everywhere, and people were having amazing experiences and connections. And I just kind of hung back because I was still feeling the sadness and the grief. And then one dolphin came right over to me and made eye contact with me and started literally swimming circles. So I had to spin to keep eye contact. And we did this about 4 times until I just burst out laughing, which is not easy to do in a snorkel, but I did. and as soon as I started laughing, the dolphin stopped, looked at me, and then swam away. Like, okay, my job here is done. But in that moment, it didn't mean that I was not still grieving for the loss of my good friend, my mother-in-law, but I could be happy at the same time as that grief. And then the other thing they taught me about joy being a permanent state, that joy is a choice. It is a conscious choice to be in joy. And again, that doesn't mean you have to deny any other emotions and feelings that come up. And there's joy in welcoming those emotions. And welcoming sadness and anger and frustration and, all of that is not fun. It's uncomfortable, but it's a whole lot better to feel it for even 1, 2, 3 days than it is to feel it for a lifetime that manifests into something that may kill us.
Wow, so true. That's amazing. I really appreciate your insights there, and it's whole new territory. I mean, there's such breadth in what we can learn when we just be present and take in, the way that these lessons let themselves be known to us. I love the feeling of that experience that you shared when you were in the water, and something about your energy, something about that curiosity and inquisitiveness of that particular dolphin.
Right.
And so this is the one I need to engage with.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
now my work is done.
Yeah.
And thank you for that, because I think that, and in the summit, I have a great conversation with another friend of mine, Mel Mason, who's the clutter expert. And she talks about that effort that we can put into holding emotions at bay and how draining it can be, and
Yes.
how it shows up in different areas of our life, and how once we let ourselves be present to them, they release that hold. I
Yep.
want to say tyranny, and maybe that's not far off the mark,
Mm-hmm.
that our emotions can have on us when we put
Right.
all of our energy and effort into resisting and avoiding and being afraid
Yes.
of
Exactly.
diving into those. So that's beautiful. I love that story. And I hope that people find that kind of a curiosity and inquisitiveness, kind of an energy that you can take into it, because we do tend to, the things that we fear take on even more personality, and as our resistance grows to those. So,
Yeah, for sure.
and the wisdom of working with animals that are so vast, as you've talked too about the size of the whales, the largest creatures on the planet, larger even than the dinosaurs that
Mhm.
didn't even manage to survive,
Right.
and the lessons that we can take from them too. There's so much great stuff that came up through our conversation. I'm so excited to share it all. I've got a little snippet I'll be sharing on social media, and I'll share that with you as well. That I think is really delicious. We had such a great time, and I'd like to talk to you for just a minute. Because we do tend to think we've got a lot of work to do. We've got to be busy and productive now, and later we'll wait. Later we'll make time
Right.
for the things that nourish us. And so, since you, with your experience with leading retreats and seeing people who have given themselves that permission to take that time for themselves, are there maybe some reasons or indicators or something to think on if people are saying, oh no, I don't have time for that, but I'll make time as soon as I get to X or accomplish Y?
Yeah, it's when it's saying yes to yourself, and one of the most powerful things about going on a retreat, and if a good retreat leader does it well, they build in space for quiet time
Mm.
or free time, and they don't fill it with, content and activities, so that like you're like out of breath going from one to the next and you come home exhausted. No, it's a beautiful balance of experience, of learning, and of time for yourself. Because as you know, especially those of us who are entrepreneurs, it's like the busier you are, we get into the do, and we forget about just being. And then what I've found is that when you give people time to just be, that is when your mind is free to associate and come up with powerful aha moments and realizations, and processing things that have been bugging you sometimes for years. But it also inspires creativity and amazing inspirations. I had a woman that was working a corporate job that came on a retreat on her vacation with me, and she was inspired to write a novel. And she went home and wrote this really fun novel, and it turned into a whole trilogy. And she would never have given herself time to come up with that inspiration had she not come on a retreat, given herself that time. So who knows what's kind of hiding down below inside of you, that if you don't give yourself time to just be, whether it's going on a retreat or just going away for a weekend by yourself to a cabin in the woods, or having a staycation, wherever it is, but just stop the doing. We don't have to be, we're not called human doings, we're called human beings. So it's time we start being who we are meant to be.
I love it. I love it. I had so much fun. All of the people that have joined me in this event, like it's extraordinary to see how aligned, I say these things, and as much as I say things very similar to what you're just sharing, I have trouble following through myself. But one of the things that I love to point out, that I love to encourage people as I implore, as I plead, that we make this space for play, for creativity, for curiosity, is that by doing less, we're able to be more.
Right.
And even as I say it, I, get on that hamster wheel, and I've got to turn things out and meet deadlines, self-imposed and otherwise. And so I know exactly how it is to feel caught up in the doing, and that list is never done.
Right.
And at the same time, those benefits, just like you say, that opportunity for things that otherwise you would never discover within yourself, to have that space to come up is so powerful. And the potential there, right? I mean, to think we could miss out on that if we keep ourselves stuck in that pattern of doing.
Absolutely.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I hope, my friends, that our conversation this morning has intrigued you. I know you're going to love the rest of our conversation that Anne and I enjoy inside the summit. It will be available the week of the 30th. It's absolutely free to join us. If you want to keep it for yourself, the VIP pass gets you full recordings, transcripts of every conversation, plus an opportunity to talk with our featured experts on Saturday the 4th. I have 2 conversation panels lined up when some of my guests will be able to come back and share and compare notes, because like I said, some of these same ideas keep coming up, even from very different focuses and specialties. So I find that fascinating. And if you want your question answered, this is a terrific opportunity. And there are some amazing gifts being given away that far exceed the cost. Even if you take one gift, would far exceed the cost of getting that VIP pass. So I hope that tempts you. There will be a link in the comments so you can check that out for yourself. And is there anything else, Anne, that you want to share with folks while we're here?
Sure. I would just say that the one thing the Dolphins say all the time to my clients, and that is just get out and play more. Go out and take a play break, even if it's 15 minutes to go play a game, play with a kitten, or throw a ball for a dog. Just get out and play. And again, that clears your mind. It just brings that sense of self and peace in. And that's, again, gives you more time for your brain to be more creative and come up with inspiration. So go out and give yourself a play break today.
And reap the rewards of that. Definitely. Thank you, Anne. It's always so much fun to play with you. I appreciate your time. Thanks for hopping online with me.
Thanks for having me. Always great to play with you too.
Enjoy your day. Take care.
Bye, everybody.